the auspicious pleasure of introducing a man who needs really no introduction. However, it is my great honor to give you a little bit about him. If you were to talk to Benny at any time, he would say, I'm a practicing massage therapist, and he has indeed blown the statistic out of the water of lasting for 2 years by about 38 more years of practicing. And in fact, the day before yesterday he traveled, but the day before yesterday he had 10 clients. And that's a normal day for Benny. So one of the amazing things about him is that he still has this very big practice. He has a degree in health education from the University of Florida, where he also is a distinguished alum and has received an award from the University of Florida for that. He is a practicing certified athletic trainer, and he's taught in all aspects of massage therapy over his career. He's a consummate professional. I personally am in awe of his teaching skills and have utilized a lot of his own personal techniques many times over again. He has mentored many massage therapists. Of note is Whitney Lowe, and he has won numerous awards that would take more time than his speech to cover. He's getting ready to participate in his 4th Olympic trials in London Olympics, and you have to be asked to participate as a member of the USA Track and Field Sports Medical Staff. So would you join me in welcoming Benny Vaughn?
Thank you all for inviting me to join you here in Arizona, and I appreciate that, because I believe that education is a key component to the success of any profession. Over the College of Education doorway at the University of Florida, inscribed in stone there is a quote from Voltaire. And the quote reads, "A society is judged by how it educates its young." Ever since I was a student at the University of Florida, I have always remembered that saying from Voltaire that was etched in stone over the entranceway into the College of Education. A society is judged by how it educates its young. I believe that our profession is judged and will continue to be judged by how we educate our young. So, those of you out here who are educated and who continue to progress to improve on education are to be commended. So I give all of you a hand for coming here, taking time, making the financial investment, and making the mental investment to continue the progression of our wonderful profession. So I, Benny Vaughn, applaud you. So thank you very much. Now, what I'd like to do is give you my history to begin, so that you have an idea of where I came from and how I arrived at the point that I am now in the massage profession. Because that's what I do, that's what I still do, that's what I continue to do. Am I having a glitch here, Brad? Oh, should I have this? Okay. So stay on this. Nothing like having a good roadie, huh? All right. I can walk around this thing too, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll see how this goes here. If I was playing a guitar, he would just change out the guitar for me. Which, by the way, I've always wanted to do. In front of 200,000 screaming fans, just be playing along, you know, have your roadie come and change out the guitar because you just burned out 3 or 4 strings on there. But anyway, that will probably never happen. But it's okay to dream about it and to think about it. So the only thing I tell you, Ralph, is that this thing, you may have to change out the guitar. Okay. All right, hey, you know what?
Just pull it out.
They say adapt or die. So I'm adapting. So let me tell you how I got to where I am now. Because it's important for us as educators to know the history from whence we all come. It's important for your students to know this when you begin to educate them, when you begin to mentor them, when you begin to counsel them. It's important for all of us to know our history, because history gives us an opportunity to not only learn, but to inspire us and give us direction on where we can go. So here's my history. And there are points that I want to emphasize to make a point of how I got to where I am today. A working massage therapist. I have a thriving private practice in Fort Worth, Texas. I stay extremely busy. I come early, I stay late. And I'm not suggesting that everyone has to put in 12 and 14-hour days like I do. I do it because I thoroughly enjoy it. I get excited as I drive to my office each day. I mean, I truly am excited to go to my office. I'm truly excited to go to my office. I look at the client list for the day to see who's coming in, what sort of challenges they're bringing, and that's what I love to do. Massage therapy has been very, very good to me. So here's my history. I graduated from high school in 1969 in Columbus, Georgia. Now the reason I tell you that is because I want to give you some details about that graduation from high school. I had an anatomy class, which was under the category of science, that was required to graduate from high school. I was not passing anatomy. In fact, I was not passing it to the point that the school, Baker High School, figured that I would not graduate, that I'd have to go to summer school, blah, blah, blah. So if you look at the high school graduation program, which I still have in my possession, you will notice that my name is not even printed in the program because they figured I wasn't graduating. And we didn't have all the technology you have now where you can instantly change all that. You know, they have to run these things off, 2 months in advance and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, my name is not even on the graduating class in 1969 from Baker High School because they simply didn't think I could pass the class. And I was not passing it. I was not doing well at all. And that was just going to be the end of that. So I went to my science teacher, my anatomy teacher, Mrs. Shepard. I still remember her name, Mrs. Shepard, because her husband, Mr. Shepard, was the assistant principal. He was the enforcer at the high school. I went to Mrs. Shepard and I asked her, was there anything that I could do to pass this anatomy class so that I could graduate? And the reason for that is that I had signed an athletic scholarship with the University of Florida to run track. And this was going to be awfully embarrassing if their #1 recruit couldn't even get out of high school. So the deal that I made with Mrs. Shepard was that I would teach one of the anatomy classes to the other students at the high school. And if I performed well in that, I would be able to get, I believe it was a D, which I guess allowed me to graduate and pass. And she said she wanted it done on the skeletal system. So my first foray into being an educator was in the 12th grade, and I taught the skeletal system, bones, to 2 high school classes in order to salvage my high school graduation. I studied like the Dickens, the bones, the femur, the humerus, the patella, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I taught the 2 classes. Mrs. Shepard thought I did pretty good. I graduated. My name wasn't listed in the commencement exercise program. That was okay. But they did announce at graduation as I walked across the stage and got my diploma that I would be attending the University of Florida on a track scholarship, all college expenses, hooray. So that was my first time as an educator. I barely knew anything about anatomy. I only wish Mrs. Shepard was still around to see me now, because I am an expert on anatomy, kinesiology, physiology. I know it forward and backwards. I know it in my sleep. I know it so well now. So it just goes to show you, if you are inspired, you're not going to graduate, Mr. Vaughn. The things that you can do and become. So that was my first experience as an educator. And what I recall about that moment in high school was that, wow, I kind of enjoyed this. This was sort of cool. You know, teaching people, explaining to people how all that went. And then I just sort of forgot about that and went off to school. Okay, so now I arrive at the University of Florida. And this was back in the day when you had athletic dorms. The athletes were segregated from the student population. They can't do that anymore now. And so we lived together, we ate together, we trained together. So we were on the quarter system. So my first quarter at the University of Florida, I had an incredible cross-country season. I ran cross-country and track, half mile. And we went 10-0 that first season. For the runners out there, especially the distance runners, for those of you who've ever read the book, Once a Runner, I'm just curious, anybody out there read the book or know the book by John L. Parker Jr., Once a Runner? Okay. If you have distance running clients, ask them if they've ever read that book, Once a Runner. That book is about our days at Florida, racing and training. John L. Parker Jr. was my teammate and roommate. He was the team captain. And that book is about our training days of competing and running at the University of Florida. And it sort of has a cult following in distance running out. So I had a great season. I go through the first quarter, training twice a day. Everything is looking good. This is awesome. And then come December, I go home and I get a call from the university and I have flunked out of school. I got three E's, which is equivalent to an F, and a D. So I was done. That was it. Had a great track season, and I just didn't grasp that going to class was important and that you had to study. And the reason I'm giving you this history is to tell you where I've come from and how I got here. So again, I'm now inspired because they're going to send me off to a feeder community college and then bring me back again. But somehow they convinced the administration to allow me back into school at the University of Florida on probation, and I had to maintain a certain grade point average. So I come back to school, I do all this and that. I go through and have a great college career, and I never graduate and get a degree. Now I'm gonna fast forward to several years ago. I did come back and get a degree. After 10 years of doing massage, I reached a point in my career where it was apparent to me I needed more knowledge and more information. So in 1985, I graduated with a degree in health education. Now, I've been a massage therapist for 10 years when I decided to do this. I graduated with a degree in health education. I also become a certified athletic trainer, so I'm dealing with treatment, prevention, care of athletic injuries. And I have my whole family, everybody flies down to Florida for this deal, because this is a big deal. I finally got it done, because I've been a freshman in 1969, ended up in massage school in 1974, and then finally in 1985, I get this degree, because it became apparent to me, for me to move forward in massage, I needed additional information that I did not get in massage school. And health education and athletic training was a way that I could do that, because all along, I wanted to be a massage therapist and continue to be. And that's when it became apparent to me that there were some pieces in massage education that we could improve that could make a difference. So now at massage schools, we have orthopedic assessment skills being taught. The knowledge base of anatomy and physiology has gotten much better than what we had in massage school in 1974 when I was enrolled. And we continue to expand the base of knowledge and the skills of those massage educators. So something that I recognized back in the 70s, that gosh, if only I knew more about what sort of injury this person could have, this need, I could better serve them with my massage. So the ending to that education story is, to my amazement, several years ago, I received a letter from the University of Florida saying that I have been nominated for a Distinguished Alumni Award. I practically fell out of my chair reading this. And it said it was an award that's given to alumni who have provided exceptional service in their field of study and care. And I'm paraphrasing there. But it was just like, I was like, what? So apparently, one of my former professors had been following my massage career and what I had been doing. And so the College of Health and Human Performance had this awards dinner, and they do this for other alumni too, of course. And so here I am now, a guy who flunked out of school to begin with, who barely was going to graduate from high school, to the point they didn't put his name on the commencement exercise because I didn't know anatomy. And now here I am getting a Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of Florida College of Health and Human Performance. So that's where I've come from, ladies and gentlemen. And so my point is this: education has to be inspirational for your students, because education nourishes the soul. And if you can nourish the soul of your students, if you can nourish the soul of those practitioners who are taking continuing education, anything becomes possible for what they do. Because what happened for me is that education began to stimulate my curiosity and interest on how I could become better in massage. And so I had great teachers, I had great inspiration, and it motivates me to this day to go to my office and provide massage care for the hundreds and the thousands of clients that I provide service for each year at my office in Fort Worth, Texas. So the cornerstone for our profession is dictated by what you and we do as educators. So, how did I start my education of teaching in massage? So I've owned massage schools, I've been a continuing education provider. My first teaching in massage occurred when my massage teacher, Bruce Simon, my mentor in massage, Bruce Simon, simply came in one day for class. And it was an evening class that I was in because I was working. And he asked me, if you can even believe this, he asked me to teach a segment of anatomy to the rest of the class. I mean, I don't even know if this was like divine intervention or what. And of course, I was sweating bullets because he had to go somewhere or something, family emergency, something had come up and he couldn't be there. And I was just like, well, what? He said, well, you know, just go to the chapter and go page by page and have some discussion. And I said, but I'm like still a student. He said, that's okay, you know, you could just, you know, you ran track, that's good enough. But understand, that was sort of the general state of massage education in the 70s. I mean, many of us know situations where people who were in massage school and or had just finished massage school were suddenly the teachers of the next class. I saw it, we've all seen it at various times. And my hope is that that has changed and continues to change. We can't do that anymore. We've passed that fledgling part of our growth in massage. We don't need to do that anymore. So I'm happy to hear the credentials, the experience, and the knowledge base of so many of our massage educators now. But that was how I began teaching massage. I was simply asked by my teacher, could I teach this class tonight because I've got to go take care of ABC. And I remember the look on the students' faces when I stood up in front of them and said, well, and they're like, well, what are you doing up there? You know, like, you're down here with us. You don't know anything yet either. Well, yeah, you're probably right, but here I am. But what that did for me is that it inspired me to learn as much as I could about all that I could about massage. Fortunately for me, in Gainesville, Florida, there was a medical school at the University of Florida, and they had an incredible library. And for all of you younger folks out there, this is before the age of computers and Google and smartphones and cell phones. Well, cell phones weren't even around yet. So you actually had to go to the library in person, go through the card catalog. For those of you who don't know what that is, they had these wooden boxes with cards, and you had to thumb through. You'd look for the title. There would be a number called a Dewey Decimal System, and then you would walk up and down the aisles trying to find the book. I mean, how far we've come now. I spent hours and hours and hours reading every book I could find in that wonderful library about anatomy, about physiology. It's where I discovered Frank Netter's incredible anatomy artwork. I'd never seen that book before. Frank Netter, wow, look at this stuff. You know, it's where I discovered Hoppenfeld's book on physical examination of the spine and extremities. I found all of Syriax's books on a textbook of orthopedic medicine, and I'm thumbing through there, and there are these black and white pictures of this stately gentleman, always dressed in a dark suit, doing hands-on therapy with people, which I thought was fascinating. Like, wow, guy's wearing a suit, and he's like doing massage on people. Like, how does that work? And so I was inspired by all this. So education inspired me, my curiosity about it. And that's how I began to get an idea of how I could be a better teacher for massage therapy students, because we didn't have what you all have now. We didn't have an association and a group of educators. I mean, there's just nothing out there. You just have to shoot from the hip and figure it out. You know, talk to some of the old-time school owners like Nancy Dale, up there in Maine by herself, figuring it out, but was inspired by her teacher, inspired by her educator,
Talk to Iris Berman about, like, what was it like back in those early days, just kind of figuring it out, you know? Iris had her training, if I recall, at Lindsay Hopkins, a vocational technical school in Miami. Massage happened to be one of the programs there. But there's nothing that taught you or gave you any guidance on how to be an educator. So all of us old-timers from the early days had to figure it out. And now look at where you are now. This is just outstanding. I'm just flabbergasted, inspired, and proud to see all this happen. Because in the early days, we had to figure it out to make it happen. Now, a society is judged by how it educates its young. Our profession is judged by how we educate those students. Education nourishes the soul. We have to nourish the soul of our students. So where are we at now? What are we doing now in our profession? What's the report card? So I'm a working massage therapist. I frequently have massage therapists call me, come by to visit. And the things that we can teach massage therapy students has to go beyond just anatomy, physiology, kinesiology. We have to teach them how to interact with people. Teach them how to create an experience for people. Because touch is a powerful, powerful vehicle. And in an age where technology is beginning to rule the lives of many of us, it can be very useful, but can also segregate us from human interaction. People who live on the internet that have little or no interaction with other human beings. They are touch deprived. It starts to change the physiology of their bodies because they're touch deprived. The massage therapists now, and especially the massage therapists of the future that you are training, will play a bigger role in the health of a society because so much of the society will be touch deprived. The book Megatrends that came out in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, the author forecast that as technology began to get higher, the need for touch would become greater. And that book was written a long time ago, Megatrends. And that was a trend that the author saw that was coming, and it is here now. So many people just simply don't get touched. And many of those people will seek out the services, the professional services of a massage therapist to be touched, to have an experience that reconnects them with the human energy that makes the planet go. That's part of what makes the planet go. So the role of the massage therapist is going beyond, well, your knee is injured, your hamstring is pulled, your shoulders are tight, your neck is tight, your back is sore. We're going beyond that now. And our education has to prepare the practitioners to understand this and how we can be of service to make this work and work well. We have to give people a good experience with touch, structured touch. Massage comes in many forms now. We have many names that we use to describe what it is we do. Myofascial release, neuromuscular therapy, trigger point therapy, structural integration, Swedish massage, English massage, your massage. And we've named all these things that we do. In the end, it's massage, it's touch. And I have this theory that if we all continue to do massage, we all continue to do the work that we do, we all arrive in the similar neighborhood. So how many of you have been doing massage and someone's watching and go, oh, did you study Traeger? Oh, did you go to the Roth Institute? Oh, did you do neuromuscular therapy? You go, well, no, I didn't. And they say, well, but it looks like that. Well, of course it does. Because if you continue to do what you do, you will arrive at that point. Now, what the educator can do is to help you get to that point faster, more efficiently, and give you guidance, and coach you, and mentor you, and give you additional information to help you get there faster, so that you don't have to make the same errors and mistakes now, but can progress much faster. So now you get up into a level that might be considered advanced, where you can start to discover new things, new ways that we can take an age-old tradition of touching people to another level. So the state of our profession is dictated by how well we're teaching our students those various things about the importance of touch and massage. Anatomy is important, physiology is important, kinesiology is important, ethics is important. Understanding the relationship between touch and the human energy. Providing people with a safe place for touch. Providing people with inspiration through touch. Providing people with motivation through touch. Providing people with hope through touch. Because that's what touch can do. That's what massage can do. It can give people hope. Because so often in the healthcare system, it is not designed to give people hope. It is designed to protect yourself from a lawsuit. It's not designed to give people hope. So you have a lot of defensive medicine being practiced now. Because we're afraid to give you hope. Because if we give you hope, and that hope does not materialize, then you're going to be upset with us and you might sue us. So we as massage therapists and we as educators must train and teach our students to be fearless about giving people hope through touch. It's okay to give people hope. Because if you are giving people hope, if you're doing the right thing, if you're being honest and you're being fair, what can someone sue you about that won't look absolutely ridiculous? So the state of our profession will continue to be dictated by how well we educate those students. Some of the things about teachers that I think are important. There's a point in any society, in any civilization, and certainly in any profession, where it becomes critical that we are willing to not be politically correct among ourselves. There comes a time where we have to be willing to call people out, where we have to be willing to say the emperor has no clothes, where we have to be willing to say if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, by golly, that's a duck. We have to be willing to do this. We've got to be willing to do that among ourselves first if we expect the respect and the professional self-esteem that's so critical to the success of any profession. We've got to be willing to do that. For many years in my early days of massage therapy quickly became a haven for hucksters, charlatans, snake oil salesmen and saleswomen, P.T. Barnums, dog and pony shows, smoke and mirrors, all of that started showing up in the massage profession. Because the massage profession and its educators were unwilling to challenge, ask the hard questions, and be willing to say, the emperor has no clothes. Unwilling to say and ask the hard questions. So where did you get this training? And how many times, those old timers here, did we see this? And we were told, well, you know, I could have this training in XYZ, but that country was taken over by a dictator, all the records were burned and destroyed, and there's no record of it now. No, this is the honest to goodness truth. I heard this at least half a dozen times. So there's really no way that we can validate or vet that you are in fact who you say you are, and that what you do is really what you're doing. Because it was so easy in our profession to get in and just do that. It was easy, like, oh man, this is like leading sheep here. I'll just get up here and say anything and they'll just buy that. Nobody's going to ask me any kind of hard question. In fact, people aren't even going to ask me if I even have the credentials I say I have. And we saw this happen repeatedly. It's time for this profession to no longer be a haven for charlatans and hucksters and snake oil salesmen and snake oil saleswomen. It is no longer a place for that. They can't come and hide in this profession anymore. Because let me tell you something. I'm an athletic trainer, and I'm a strength and conditioning specialist, and I got all kinds of other certifications and blah, blah, blah. You won't see those people at those conferences. You know why? Because the people in those audiences stand up and ask hard questions. They want to know, does the emperor have on any clothes? They want to ask the hard questions. Well, how did you come to this? Where does this come from? What's your background? How did you get to this? What is this? How is that? And so we can inspire our students to be willing to have creative and critical thinking. Ask the questions. Challenge yourselves. Challenge our students so that now, when they get out, they will have something that I believe, in my opinion, is still sorely lacking in our profession, and that's professional self-esteem. Professional self-esteem is built through knowledge, through education. So the educators that provide that to those students and to those members of the profession play a critical role in improving the self-esteem, the professional self-esteem of our profession. Our profession has too much to give and can help too many people to not have a high level of professional self-esteem. Professional self-esteem is driven by education, so the educator becomes a key coach in bringing about his professional self-esteem. Because if you have professional self-esteem, you're willing to ask hard questions, not because you simply want to challenge, but because you want to know. I want to know, how did you come up with this technique? I want to know, how did you figure that this would help? I want to know, how do you help people with what you're telling us? And don't tell me that someone took over your country, burned up the records, and there's no record of it. Or that your high school burned down, and those things do happen. But in today's world of technology, it's on a hard drive somewhere now. And half of the stuff that was on paper is on a hard drive somewhere now. You've heard of Google, right? It frightens me, but hey, it's here to stay. You know, you can Google just about anything now and figure it out. That doesn't mean that it's always true, but it gives you a starting place. So the advantage that we have now, and you have now, is that we do have technology that can help us with that. So we can advance our education, we can advance our knowledge base. But professional self-esteem right now, I would give our profession a C. And we need to bring that up to an A, and you in this room can do that. Professional self-esteem means that a massage therapist feels okay thinking about, I think I might hire a chiropractor to work in my office with me. The concept, the thought of hiring a chiropractor, a massage therapist. Or how about this? A massage therapist says, you know what? I think I'm going to hire a physical therapist to work with me in my office. That's professional self-esteem right there, just to have that thought process. Because for so long, we have been led to believe, taught to believe, that we can only work for those folks. We can only work for those professions. Where is that written that's just a lack of professional self-esteem? But that self-esteem is driven by education. I'm happy to hear that there's discussion among you about standards for teachers, standards for students. How much training should they have? They should have a lot of training, because the role that the massage therapist will play in this society is too valuable, too important in a touch-deprived society. The rise and fall of the Roman Empire. We're not that far away. We're beginning to show all the signs and cracks that the Roman Empire showed. Now, you think to yourself, well, gosh, that's kind of, was it apocalyptic? No, it's not apocalyptic. I mean, we'll be dead before it happens. But there's something we can do about it now. And what I envision in the future, the people who do massage, the people who touch, I think you're going to see this reversal. The people who touch are going to become valued members of society. They might begin to call us the touchers. The touchers are coming. The touchers are coming. Because so few people will be touched and have that connection with other human beings. We become a valuable component to the survival of the species. All of you are familiar with the psychological experiments that have been done where they do touch deprivation. They've done it with monkeys. They've seen it happen with premature infants. They've seen terrible cases with children where they were touch deprived. And it makes a huge difference with what happens. So people who touch, people who massage are incredibly important and valuable in society, let alone the health, wellness, and medical system. It's a big piece here. And so the massage therapists this is like gigantic. I mean, think about the complaints we hear in the healthcare system right now. Well, they didn't spend enough time with me. They didn't even touch my knee to look at it. The person isn't saying, I want you to cure me. They're just saying, I just want you to touch it and assure me that you know what's going on. So the massage profession, there's a huge piece here. And the role that you're going to play is gigantic as the educators. So I think the massage therapists, the touchers, are going to be a big part of the survival of the human species. And in order for that to happen, they have to be knowledgeable, both in the sciences, but also knowledgeable in the emotion, the mental, the energetic part of what that relationship is about between massage therapist and the client, the other person. We have so much to give. But if I could say the biggest thing that I'd like to see us as educators do is enhance the professional self-esteem of our graduates, of massage therapists. And we can do that by giving them the knowledge to make them feel comfortable and competent to interact with any other healthcare provider, where they can speak the language and have confidence about that. Because the criticism that we often get from others who would detract the value of what we do as massage is that, well, you don't have enough education. You didn't go to a 4-year program, or a 6-year program, or a 10-year program. And that's not to discount the importance of programs like that. But what I will say is that the intensity of training that occurs in massage therapy is equal to that. I mean, when I'm in college, I have a class, 50 minutes, twice a week, for 4 months. What's that? 2, 4, 6, 8, that's 32 classes. That's roughly 32 hours. But somehow, because of the way it's framed, it's given more value than a clock hour training model. So we just have to work with that so that people understand that the quality of education can be extremely high in that model, but you've got to have enough hours to spend with someone to help them integrate this valuable, powerful force that we call touch. Professional self-esteem. That's what our profession needs, and the educators can be the leaders, the coaches, the mentors that will guide that. So what are some of the ways that we can do that? By instilling these radical thoughts of success into the massage therapy students' minds, because they're looking to us for that. Instill these radical thoughts of success, like, you know, you could go out and start your own business. But here's the reality of that. You're going to have to pay taxes. You're going to have lease payments. You're going to have insurance payments. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. Now here's the benefit of that. You can work when you want to. You can decide how you want to. And you can provide a level of service that's totally dictated by you, if that's what you want to do. Or if you decide, I'd like to work for someone or some entity, you can bring in some creative thinking on how you can provide service for those clients. All of this is done by having someone graduate with a sense of knowledge. I really know what I'm doing. So that you don't hear people saying, well, I'm just a massage therapist. No, you're not just a massage therapist. You're a massage therapist. Period. That's what you are. Now, technology can be used to enhance this knowledge now. You know, we didn't have all this internet. I mean, I sound like an old guy. Well, I am an old guy. You know, all this internet now, we can send information. You can find things quickly. You can do webinars. I mean, my good friend Dr. Benjamin convinced me, sold me on the idea several months ago. And he's probably the only one that could have convinced me to do this. But I had my first webinar with Dr. Benjamin and still didn't understand what I was doing sitting there at the computer. Not understanding that, gosh, you know, a whole lot of people are actually listening and watching right now. I'm just like, well, I don't understand this. So I'm slowly being pulled into the technology. And this is a great advantage you have as an educator, is that you can bring this professional self-esteem, utilizing all this technology that's out there, all these books that I see next door, and the authors that are in this room. This is like incredible stuff. Nancy Dale and I were talking, when we started having massage, there were 2 massage books that we could at least find that was out there, and now we've got authors in the room, and we've got dozens of massage books. It's like, I mean, I'm just like flabbergasted, proud, amazed, encourage all of you to keep writing, to keep doing it. I mean, it's like good stuff. This is just so awesome. that the educators are doing this. We have just wonderful, wonderful books now. I'm truly amazed and flabbergasted by it all. Just by it all. It's all so good. And this is why I'm excited to go to work every day and do massage. And I have a great time. And people love coming to my office. So what you want to do as educators is give and arm your students and your graduates with an opportunity to have high levels of professional self-esteem so that they can translate that into an incredible experience for clients. An incredible experience for clients. Because this is an experiential economy now. What people want to have is a good experience. And if you can use touch as a vehicle to give them that experience, you have given them hope. And giving people hope makes people feel better about themselves and about what they're doing. I think the role of the massage therapist will continue to expand beyond just giving a, quote, rub down, but that we will become a big part of the overall wellness of our society. And that will be dictated by what each of you in this room will do. Now, here's what I have to say. We've got to get more educators involved in this. My guess is that many of the educators that need what you all are doing aren't here. So when you leave, you've got to inspire other colleagues to get involved, because we are the cornerstone of something that's amazing in our society. That's amazing in our society. Give people a good experience. And give people a good experience in education. Make learning fun and useful. And if we do that, we can go back to what Voltaire said. A society is judged by how it educates its young. Our profession will be judged by how you in this room educate our massage therapy students. I want to encourage you, I want to thank you, and I want to acknowledge you for the tremendous work that all of you are doing. And just know that we have great room and great opportunity for improvement, and we can do this because we are teaching people how to do the most fundamental, basic need that every human being desires, and that's touch. So I thank all of you for your service. I thank all of you for just listening to me. And I just think this is just outstanding what's happening in the massage profession. I am just so proud to be a massage therapist. And by the way, this is my 4th Olympic Games that I'm part of the USOC sports medicine staff. I'm a member of the sports medicine staff because of my massage, not because of my health science education degree, not because I'm a certified athletic trainer. It's because of massage. So it's a great thing. So thank you all. I appreciate it. I'll be around today and tomorrow if any of you have any questions or any thoughts that you'd like to throw out to me. Thank you so much. And,